guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna be bringing you guys my labor and delivery story. A lot of you guys requested me to do this video, so here I am, and I'm going to talk about the day that I gave birth. So my water broke on December 19th around 7:45 in the morning. I laugh because the story is so funny. That morning my boyfriend had left to drop his son off at school, and then he was going to work, so he had said goodbye. So I thought I'll just eat a bowl of cereal. I was hungry anyway, so I was eating a bowl of cereal, and I was sitting on my bed, and I used the bathroom, and then I came back to the bed, kept watching TV and eating my cereal. I felt like it was not like a gush. It was like a little waterfall. Like I felt like if I was peeing on myself. So I figured, I'm pregnant. I didn't think nothing of it. I expected my water to break and it'd be a gush on the floor. So it was just like a little bit, like I just felt kind of wet. And so I'm like, let me go to the bathroom and check. So I go to the bathroom and I'm like, maybe I just, maybe I didn't finish peeing when I peed or whatever. So I'm like, let me just change my panties and my pants. So that's what I did. I changed my panties and my pants, and I sat right back on the bed, and I continued to eat my cereal. Then I felt the gush. Like it was just like something popped. And at this moment, I'm like still in denial that is my water breaking, because I'm like, the whole weekend happened and my water didn't break, and the moment that my boyfriend leaves, my water is gonna break. So I'm like, let me just go change my pants again. Maybe it's nothing. I'm still thinking in my head it's nothing. So as I'm changing my pants once again, now I'm just seeing the liquid flow out. So I'm like, let me call my mom, because now I really think that is my water breaking. I don't think I'm peeing on myself, because I didn't feel pressure as if I was peeing. It just felt like it was something natural coming out. So I call my mom and I'm like, I think my water just broke. She goes, what you mean? Why you think that? So I'm like, well, I'm leaking. And at this point now I'm kind of emotional, because I'm like nervous, because now it's like the time is here. I'm gonna give birth. I don't know what to expect. So she's like, all right, I'm on my way. So I hang up and I call my boyfriend and I'm like, I think my water just broke. He goes, I just got to work. And I'm like, he's like, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna sign in, and I'm gonna come and pick you up. So I'm like, okay. So it gave me enough time to take a shower and get last minute things ready in the house. And I called my hospital and I let them know. I'm like, well, I'm 39 weeks, and I believe I was 39 weeks and 4 days to be exact, and my water just broke. So they said, once your water breaks, you have to come straight into the hospital, because you don't know how fast things are gonna go from there. So I'm like, okay. So they're like, get here as soon as possible. So he got here, and maybe like 10 minutes after he got here, my mom got here. So we drove to the hospital. They checked me. We went upstairs to labor and delivery, obviously. So they checked me just to see if it was actually my water that was breaking, and it was my water. So they admitted me into the hospital. Once your water breaks, they have no choice but to admit you. Usually when your contractions are happening or stuff like that, they don't admit you unless your water breaks or if you're dilating. But since my water already broke, I got admitted to the hospital. So they explained that this process is going to be a long process, because I wasn't having contractions. It was just that my water broke. So I don't know medical terms and things like that, so bear with me. So they're gonna give me something to put in my mouth to dissolve, to make my contractions start happening, and this is something that they give every 4 hours. So they gave me the first dose maybe like 2 hours into me actually being admitted into the hospital, and it was still early. I got to the hospital around maybe like 9 o'clock, if that, and they gave me the first dose maybe like 11, and I still wasn't catching any contractions or any pains or anything like that. And then people started to come to visit, and I started feeling like little cramps. But this is like something new to me, because even when I had my period, I would never catch cramps. So I didn't know what a cramp would feel like, or labor pains or contractions or anything like that. So any pain that was happening, it was new to me. And then they gave me food, they let me eat, I was able to drink, because I was in labor but not in full labor, because I wasn't catching contractions. And usually when you're catching contractions and you're dilating, you're in labor. But my water just broke, so they were letting me eat, they were letting me drink. And a few hours passed. I started to feel more uncomfortable. It was more uncomfortable than anything. One, I was nervous. Two, I was sick. I couldn't breathe. I had a cold. And like my anxiety was on 1,000. I never knew what anxiety was until that day. And then a little while after that, they started coming and coming and coming. And I was getting more nervous than anything, that I was starting to, like I said, I was starting to panic, and I started to cry because the pain. And like I said, the pain was new to me. I can deal with pain, but I guess my nerves were taking over. So the pain, I felt like it was even worse at that point. So I started to cry. I was starting to feel uncomfortable. My back was starting to hurt because I was just laying there. And when you're in the hospital, they hook you up to monitor. So like your baby needs to be hooked up, and you need to be hooked up, and you're just hooked up to monitor. So it's really hard for you to really move around. And the way she was positioned more towards the back. So I had to lay a certain way so that they can keep monitoring her heart. And that way was not the most comfortable way ever. So like I kept moving, and they kept like, we keep losing her heartbeat because you keep moving. So I had to stay in that specific position for a really long time. And after a while, laying on a hospital bed is not the most comfortable bed ever. So I started to feel more pain because my back was starting to hurt. I was getting stressed out because I was just laying there, and they kept telling me, you're going to be here for a really long time. You're a first-time mom. You're not dilating. And nobody wants to hear that. Like, nobody wants to hear that they're going to be in a hospital. They were giving me, I got there on a Tuesday. They were giving me till Thursday to give birth. And I'm like, nobody's going to be here 2 days in labor. She's like, oh, first-time moms are the hardest. You're going to be here a while. This is going to be a process. So they kept, like, telling me things like that. And I'm like, no, like, don't tell me things like that. Like, I don't want to know that I'm going to possibly be here for 2 days. Like, encourage me to know that this is going to happen and it's going to go however it goes. Not just telling me that it's going to be, like, 2 days that you're going to be in a hospital. Nobody wants to hear that. So, and this was the week before Christmas. So, I'm like, now I'm like getting emotional because I'm like, this is going to be long. And if they start giving me medicine now, and she's telling me by Thursday, so that means I'm going to be in pain for 2 days. And nobody wants to be in pain for 2 days. So, they gave me the second dose of the pills to dissolve in your mouth for the contractions. And at this point, like I said, I was feeling uncomfortable, and I was feeling a little bit of contractions, I'm guessing, because I was catching pain. And I kept feeling them on the top of my stomach, and they're like, usually contractions are on the bottom. So the monitor wasn't picking up my contractions, but I was feeling pain and I was feeling pressure. So she's like, we're not picking up your contractions, so just verbally let us know when you're having any contractions or what you feel are contractions. So I'm like, okay, like, I'm gonna let you know because I know what I feel. You don't know what I feel because you're on the outside, and of course you're a doctor, so you're going according to the books. But I'm telling you exactly what I'm feeling. And usually they don't want to believe you because, you know, you're nervous, and maybe you're just lying to them because you want to give birth or whatever. But that wasn't the case. So that passes. I'm starting to feel really uncomfortable. So it was already almost midnight, and they had asked me, since I only was 2 centimeters dilated, 2 centimeters dilated, they asked me if I wanted anything to basically to help me sleep, since, like I said, they kept saying that it was gonna be a long time before I give birth, and the way I was, you know, opening up, it was taking a really long time. I got there early in the morning and it was already almost midnight, and I only was 2 centimeters dilated. So I'm like, you know what, maybe maybe she's right. I need to maybe rest and go to sleep so that I can have the energy, because I was not able to take any naps. I was uncomfortable. I was laying on the bed all day. I wanted to move. They didn't really let me move. So I'm like, you know what, let me get something so at least put me to sleep, because I went in and I wanted a natural birth. I didn't want any epidural. I didn't want anything. I wanted a natural birth. I didn't want my baby high on any medicine. I didn't want to get poked in the back with any needles. I mean, if worst came to worst, I was okay with it. But if I can withhold it, I was going to withhold it until I couldn't handle it anymore. So it was my mother-in-law, my mom, and my boyfriend that were there. And I'm like, you know what, just give me something to put me to sleep, because it's already 12 o'clock. So my mom stood in the hospital and my boyfriend went to his father's house to go rest, because they said I wouldn't be giving birth until maybe later the next day, like in the night or later that afternoon. And she said the medicine they were going to give me through the IV was going to put me to sleep for 3 to 4 hours. So that would have gave everyone enough time to take a nap and, you know, be well rested, since they were there all day. So as soon as they gave me the medicine through the IV, I was knocked out. Like, as soon as the medicine touched the IV, I was like high on drugs. Don't get me wrong, it was the best feeling. It was the best feeling ever to just know that I'm relaxed and I was going to sleep and I wasn't going to be worried anymore. But then again, it's so scary to know that something that powerful went into me, and you know, at that point you don't know what can happen, you know. So that happened. I went to sleep. I was maybe asleep for like, I want to say the most, an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours. It didn't kick in as well as they thought that was gonna kick in. So I woke up maybe at like 2:20, 2:30 around there, and I was in so much pain. It was ridiculous how much pain I was in, and it just felt like pressure, like on, you know, like down there. It just felt like a whole lot of pressure. Like the contractions were legit like seconds apart. I was screaming, I was crying, I was uncomfortable. Mind you, I'm telling you, I was sick. I couldn't breathe through my nose. The doctors kept coming in telling me, Mommy, you have to breathe through your nose. You have to stop screaming and crying, because that's just gonna make it worse. And at that point, you don't want to hear somebody tell you stop screaming and stop crying at all. That's not what you want to hear when you're giving birth. So I just kept screaming, crying. I'm telling you, to the point that I never call my mom mommy. Like, I call her mom. I was like, Mommy, help me take this baby out. Like, I was screaming like, Mom, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. My mom was trying to sleep. I felt so bad. She was trying to sleep, and I kept, every time legit she got up away from me, the pain was getting worse. Like, she needed to be right on top of me, and I felt like I was comfortable, and she was like, you know, rubbing me down. I started hyperventilating because I couldn't breathe. As if you gave birth before, you know, you get dry mouth. So I couldn't swallow at one point. I just felt like I was gonna like go into a full-blown panic attack. I felt like my asthma was starting to happen. I just felt really messed up that day, and I'm telling her, like, I can't do this. Like, I felt like I couldn't do it anymore. I started asking for an epidural. I started asking for anything to make the pain go away, because at that point you're telling me I'm not giving birth until another day and a half or so, and I'm already in this much pain. I need something, like, give me something. So the midwife came and she checked me, and at this point I was 4.5 centimeters dilated, and I'm telling her, like, you know, she's like, at this point you can get an epidural. So I'm like, you know what, it's something I didn't want to do, but I'm okay with it. So I asked her, you know what, just give it to me. Like, don't ask me again, just go get it. I don't want to hear about it. Just give it to me. Like, I need it now. Like, you guys keep coming in here telling me to stop screaming, stop crying. Like, just get out if that's what you're gonna come in here for. And then my mom is telling me to be quiet in the background. She's like, stop screaming. And I'm telling her, telling me to stop screaming because it was hurting. I felt the pressure. Then so the midwife was like, okay, she's gonna go and request the epidural. So we have to wait. Now we have to wait for the anesthesiologist to come in, and he's the one that performs the epidural process. So as soon as the midwife leaves, I'm like, I feel like I have to push. So I'm like, I don't know if I had to push, like if I had to poop or if I had to pee. So I'm telling my mom, like, I have to push. Like, something is there. I have to push right now. And it was maybe like 10-15 minutes as soon as the midwife left. I'm telling her, like, I have to push. At this time now, it was maybe like 3:50 something, maybe, if that, like 3:40. And I'm telling my mom, I'm like, I have to push, like, I have to. So I start holding the railings on the bed, and I'm like straining, like, to not push, because I didn't know what I was gonna push out. Like, I didn't want to poop on the bed, and I didn't want to push out and, God forbid, hurt my baby because I was pushing too early. So I'm telling her, like, I need to push, and my mom's like, no, don't push. And I'm like, I'm gonna start pushing, because I couldn't control it anymore. Like, it legit felt like something was coming out. So my mom is like, wait, don't push. So she runs out, and she's like, she's saying she has to push. So now they probably looking at my mom like, ma'am, we just checked her like 15 minutes ago. How does she need to push? She was only like 5 centimeters dilated. So they coming in like, you know, like, this girl, she's just lying, like, she just wants to push probably. And at that point, I hear them in the background saying that somebody walked in at 10 centimeters, like they were gonna go deliver her baby. So the midwife, she's like, I'm gonna check you one more time. What do you feel? I'm like, I feel like I need to push. Like, I need to push now. So she's like, okay. So she starts putting her gloves on, and she checks me, and she's like, yeah, you need, the head is right there. But I was only still 5 centimeters dilated when I started pushing. I didn't dilate anymore. Just her head was legit crowning at that point in time. So she's like, you know what, whenever you feel like you have to push, just push. Because, you know, it wasn't like I was dilated. I wasn't 10 centimeters. I was only 5 centimeters dilated at that point in time. So she's like, when you feel like you need to push, just push. So I just started pushing. Like, I held onto the bed and I started pushing. And now they're getting prepared or whatever. So my mom is on the phone. Mind you, my father-in-law's house is maybe like 2 blocks away, 2-3 blocks away. And my mother-in-law lives like 1 stop on the train away. Well, 2 stops on the train away. And maybe like a 10-minute car ride away from the hospital. So my mom calls my boyfriend, and he was sleeping, and she's like, it's time. Like, so I don't know what happened. I don't know how he got there so fast. He must have ran. Well, from what he told me, he ran. And mind you, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. I gave birth at 4:11 a.m. and he made it right on time before, like, I even pushed her out. He made it while I was pushing, but before I pushed out, he was there. And then my mother-in-law, my mom called my mother-in-law, and she made it as soon as they pushed her on top of me. Like, as soon as they put her on top of me, she walked in. I was pushing out the placenta when my mother-in-law walked in. And, like, going a little bit back, so when she was telling me to push, they walked out the room. Like, they left me and my mom in the room by ourselves while they kept setting up, because it was happening so fast. Like, they didn't think that a new mom was gonna handle it the way I did. So So they're asking me, they're like, well, we already ordered the epidural, the anesthesiologist is on the way, do you want to wait? And at that point I couldn't wait. Like, I could not wait for the anesthesiologist to come, because he was doing, I think, he was by another person doing an emergency C-section or something like that. So I'm like, I need to like push, like I'm just gonna do it. Like, I don't want, forget it, like it's over, it's already too late, like I'm pushing already. Like, I'm not gonna stop pushing to wait for anybody to come. So she's like, we're gonna help you. So they started, they inserted the clamp to try to open me up a little bit to help me be able to push, since I wasn't fully dilated. That was the worst pain ever. Like, the worst pain ever was them putting that metal thing inside me and trying to open me up. Like, it's not natural. So they're physically putting something in you and stretching you out. That was the worst pain ever. I think that was worse than pushing her head out. I think that was worse than pushing her shoulders out. It was just worse because I felt the pressure already, and then they were inserting something inside me to open me up. So it was just horrible, and I wasn't fully dilated, and I felt like, you can click off if you want at this point, because it's about to get crazy. Like, I felt like I had to poop. Like, I felt like she was coming out my booty, not like the front part. And like, I'm trying to squeeze in, because I'm like, everybody says when you push you can catch a hemorrhoid, and I'm like, I don't want to pop a blood vessel and catch a hemorrhoid, or I don't want to poop in front of my boyfriend, even though that sounds so like childish, because it's like I'm giving him his child. But like, I'm like, I don't want to poop in front of all these people, I don't want to pop a hemorrhoid, I don't want to, like, I just want to push the baby out. But I just kept feeling her like on my booty. So finally the lady's like, her head is coming out. So she's like, just push, like push hard. So I felt her head come out, and then now the hard part, of course, the shoulders. The head is a hard part because she was just there crowning for a really long time, so I felt the burning sensation. And then she's like, whenever you're ready, because like I said before, the monitor was not picking up my contractions. So if they're not picking up my contractions, they physically can't tell me when to push. Usually when the monitor picks up your contractions, they're able to be like, now mom, you're catching one, push. And that wasn't the case for me. Everything was on me. Everything was on me for me to push. Everything was on me for me to breathe. Everything was on me to do everything, because they couldn't monitor everything when it came to the contraction. So it wasn't like they were able to be like, okay, you're catching one, it's over now. I had to tell them like, okay, I'm catching one, it's starting, how long it started, when it stopped, how did it feel. Like, I had to be the one to tell them that. And at the point of pushing and giving birth, nobody wants to sit there and tell somebody like, okay, I'm catching one, let me push now. So I just kept pushing. Like, even if I didn't feel a contraction or feel a pain, I just kept pushing because I wanted her out. So finally her shoulders came out, and then I feel like once the shoulders come out, it feels so amazing for the rest of the body to come out. It just felt like a little snake swarming out. Then, they put her on top of me, and she was so alert. Her eyes were open. It was just the most beautiful thing ever. And then the scary part happened. I was bleeding excessively. Like, so much blood was coming out. Like, the doctor was legit inside pulling blood clots out. And at that point my boyfriend was getting nervous, and he was asking if that was normal. And she's like, we have to make sure like you didn't tear, because they didn't have to cut me, but they wanted to make sure like I wasn't ripped from the inside. So they were like, she was sticking her hand inside, so like, Jesus, she stuck her hand so far inside of me that I forgot how painful the birth was, and which was like 2 seconds before, because the pain that she was giving me with her hand, like, it hurt so bad. And she was checking, and she's like, they couldn't feel anything, they couldn't see any rips or tears, like probably minor, because they had to put the thing inside of me to be able to open me, so that just makes everything more sore. And but physical rips or anything like that, physical tears, they couldn't see anything. They just saw the blood. And everything, when I pushed out, they were like that was the first time they ever seen a first time mom push, 1 at 5 centimeters, 2 without any pain medicine, 3 and as fast as I did it and on my own, basically. So yeah, I mean, it was the most craziest, most beautiful, most exciting day of my life, and I'm glad my daughter's fine. She is just amazing. I don't know. I get emotional when I talk about her. She's just she's just the best gift I think anybody could ever ask for. She's just amazing. So she was born on December 20th at I didn't think I would cry. She was born December 20th at 4:11. She shares the birthday of her cousin Madison, and she weighed 6 pounds, 13.6 ounces, and she was 19 inches long. And she's just the perfect little angel. So I'm gonna introduce you guys to my daughter. Her name is Mallory Breland. And this is Mallory. She's just so freaking cute. I love her so much. She's just the best thing anybody can ever ask for. So yeah guys, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, hit the like button, share this video, and more videos coming soon, especially now since my baby is here. I'm able to film more while she sleeps. So yeah guys, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys in my next video.